In this video, we will be looking at some of the African countries that have changed their names over time. The name change was part of a broader trend in the 1980s of African countries adopting names in their native languages upon independence. Number 1 on the list is Cabo Verde. Cabo Verde was formerly known as the Republic of Cape Verde. The reason behind the name change of Cape Verde to Cabo Verde was to establish a consistent global identity and emphasize the country's preferred name in diplomatic and international relations. This change was officially requested by Cabo Verde in October 2013 to transition from Cape Verde to Cabo Verde, all languages including Portuguese. The aim was to align the country's official name with its native Portuguese name, Cabo Verde, and to reflect its cultural and historical identity more accurately on the international stage. The United States approved this change in December 2013, marking a significant shift in official documents and database to reflect the new name. Number 2, Côte d'Ivoire. Côte d'Ivoire was formerly known as Ivory Coast. The main reason behind the name change of Ivory Coast to Côte d'Ivoire was to align the country's official name with its native French name and establish a consistent global identity. Côte d'Ivoire means Coast of Ivory in French. The Ivorian government officially requested in October 1985 that the country be known as Côte d'Ivoire in every language, without a hyphen, contravening the standard French rule that geographical names with several words must be written with hyphens. The name change was also seen as a move to break away from colonial-era English name, Ivory Coast, and assert the country's French linguistics and cultural identity. Côte d'Ivoire was a French colony until gaining independence in 1960. Number 3. Sao Tome and Principe. The name Sao Tome and Principe comes from the two main islands that make up the country. Sao Tome was named after St. Thomas as it was discovered on his feast day, December 21st, 1471, while Principe was initially named Santo Anto, which translates to Saint Anthony, when it was discovered on January 17th, 1472, but it was changed to Ilha do Príncipe, which means Prince's Island, in 1502, after the Portuguese prince who received duties on the island sugar crop. So in summary, the name Sao Tome and Principe was not changed, but rather originated from the names of the two islands, which were named after Catholic saints and Portuguese royalty by the Portuguese explorer who discovered and colonized the previously uninhabited island in the late 15th century. The country has been known as Sao Tome and Principe since it was settled by the Portuguese in the late 1400s and early 1500s. It gained independence from Portugal in 1975, but retained its original name. Number 4. Botswana. Botswana was formerly known as Bechuanaland. The main reasons behind the name change of Bechuanaland to Botswana were to break away from the country's colonial past and establish a new national identity after gaining independence from the UK in 1966. The name Botswana was adopted to reflect the country's dominant ethnic group, the Tswana people. The former name, Bechuanaland, was portmanteau of the word land and Bechuana, which is an archaic spelling of Botswana, which is the collective name of the Tswana people. Thus, the new name of Botswana means land of the Tswana and was seen as a more representative of the country's history and people compared to the British imposed name Bechuanaland. In summary, the renaming of Bechuanaland to Botswana was a strategic decision by the country's government to share its colonial past and establish a national identity rooted in the Tswana ethnic group after gaining independence. Number 5. Kingdom of Eswatini. The Kingdom of Eswatini was formerly known as Swaziland. The main reason behind the name change of Swaziland to the Kingdom of Eswatini were to share the country's colonial past. The name Swaziland was seen as a remnant of the country's time as a British protectorate, and King Maswati III wanted to revert to the country's original name in the Swazi language, which is Eswatini, meaning land of the Swazi people, and also to avoid confusion with Switzerland. The king noted that the name Swaziland often led to foreigners confusing the country with Switzerland, and the new name Eswatini would help distinguish that. Another reason was to assert the country's Swazi identity. The name change was part of a broader trend in Africa of countries reverting to their ancient names after gaining independence in order to emphasize their cultural and linguistic heritage. It was a personal decision by the king as the last absolute monarch in Africa. King Mswati III unilaterally declared the name change during the country's 50th independence anniversary celebrated in 2018. In summary, the renaming of the Swaziland to Kingdom of Eswatini was a deliberate move by the king to share the country's colonial past, assert its Swazi identity, and avoid international confusion as part of its authority as the absolute ruler in the country. Number 6. Democratic Republic of Congo. The DRC has undergone several name changes, including Zaire, Congo Free State, Belgian Congo, Congo-Libreville, Republic of Congo, and finally the Democratic Republic of Congo. The main reasons behind the name change of Zaire to Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, in 1997 were to break away from the legacy of Mobutu Sese Seko's harsh dictatorship that had ruled the country as Zaire from 1971 to 1997. Mobutu has renamed the country Zaire in 1971 as part of his Authenticide initiative to rid the country of its European influence. The name change was initiated by Laurent Desire Kabila after he had a popular rebellion against Mobutu in 1996 to 1997 and took control of the country. Kabila forces were known as the Alliance of Democratic Forces of the Liberation of Congo, Zaire. Also, another reason was to distinguish the country from the neighboring Republic of Congo, which had been known as Congo-Brazzaville or Congo during the Zaire era. The two countries are often referred to as Congo-Kinshasa and Congo-Brazzaville, respectively, to avoid confusion. The name Democratic Republic of Congo was seen as a more representative of the country's post-Mobutu democratic aspirations, even though Kabila later established his own dictatorship. In summary, the name change from Zaire to DRC was a symbolic break from the Mobutu era and an attempt to establish a new democratic identity for the country under Kabila's leadership, although it did not lead to lasting stability. Number 7. Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso was formerly known as Hutu-Volta. However, it changed its name to Burkina Faso in 1984. The main reasons behind the name change of Hutu-Volta, or also known as Upper Volta, to Burkina Faso in 1984 were to break away from the country's colonial past and establish a new national identity. The name Hutu-Volta was seen as a remnant of French colonial rule, as it was named after the Volta River by the French. The new name, Burkina Faso, was chosen to reflect the country's cultural heritage and value. Burkina means upright or incorruptible in the Mossi language, while Faso means fatherland in Diola, signifying the pride and integrity of Burkinabe people. In general, the name means the land of the upright and honest in its native tongue. Also, it was a deliberate move by President Thomas Sankara to assert the country's African identity and distance it from its colonial past after he took power in the 1983 coup. Sankara was a charismatic Marxist revolutionary who sought to transform Burkina Faso. The name change was part of Sankara's broader effort to promote self-reliance, anti-imperialism, and African unity. He also changed the names of cities, opened bank accounts to public scrutiny, and promoted women's rights. In summary, the renaming of Hutu-Volta to Burkina Faso was a strategic decision by the Sankara government to share the country's colonial legacy, assert its African identity, and promote the values of integrity and patriotism among the Burkinabe people. Number 8. Ghana. Ghana was formerly known as Gold Coast. It changed its name to Ghana after gaining independence in 1957. The main reasons behind the name change of Ghana from Gold Coast were to break away from the country's colonial past and establish a new national identity after gaining independence in 1957. The name Ghana was adopted after thorough research into the history of the region. It was believed to be named after the ancient Ghana Empire that existed in West Africa between the 9th and 11th centuries. The change from Gold Coast to Ghana was spearheaded by Ghana's first president, Kwame Nkrumah, and nationalist leader J.B. Dangwa as part of their effort to redefine the country and its people. Also, the name Ghana was seen as a more representative of the country's cultural heritage and identity, moving away from colonial era name that emphasized the region's natural resources. In summary, the renaming of Gold Coast to Ghana was a deliberate move by the country's leader to share its colonial past and establish a new national identity rooted in the region's pre-colonial history and culture. In conclusion, you can see that these name changes reflect the country's effort to redefine themselves and break away from their colonial past, often adopting names that reflect their cultural heritage and geographical features. And with that, we have come to the end of this video. If you found this video interesting, please subscribe, like, and share with others. Thank you.